I save you the time for the whole video. No, Jurassic Park, the latest one, is not good. Now, I'm a big Jurassic Park fan, okay? I like Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3. Jurassic Park 2 wasn't the best. I like Jurassic World, and I like the first movie of Jurassic World. The second one was okay. The Dominion one was terrible. And then we come out with the latest Jurassic Park today. I went to see it last night with Ali's family. We went there at 8:30. We got some popcorn. I had heaps of Skittles, and those were the only good things about the entire night. Spending the time with Ali and eating some Skittles. The show in itself was terrible. Now, I never thought I would actually say this, but I missed Chris Pratt in this movie. We watched this in one of the closer rows, and there was no one really close to us, and thank God there wasn't, because Ali and I throughout the entire movie were just pointing out how stupid the entire movie was. Scarlett Johansson must have been paid $1 million or something to be able to be put into this movie, because she actually gave the wettest and driest performance I've ever seen out of Scarlett Johansson. There was this scene on the boat, because I'm going to go straight into spoilers for the whole movie, because I don't genuinely believe that anyone should go out and waste money on this movie. This is going to be, I genuinely don't think anyone should waste money on this movie. It's probably the worst Jurassic Park movie. Even Dominion was better. I know it was a little bit of a nostalgia bait because they had the old cast and Chris Pratt coming together, but that movie in itself was a lot better than this one. So I'm going to go full spoilers straight from the start. Basically, there's this scientific place where they're trying to genetically splice dinosaurs together, and then of course something happens. A candy bar gets stuck into a singular door's air vent, and it shuts down the entire system, the entire security system for the entire place. Then the giga dinosaur gets out, the one that has been genetically modified and spliced and all weird. He gets out, he kills, and then cut to black, you're with Scarlett Johansson, and I don't know what happened, but I kind of didn't really understand the first part of the movie. But Scarlett Johansson meets up with this billionaire. This billionaire wants to steal the blood of dinosaurs to make money on pharmaceutical drugs or something. So they end up going over, meeting with this other crew, and they get on a big boat and they go straight to the island where this scientific genetic place is, right? So you already know that the dinosaur that comes out in the beginning is going to be the dinosaur that's going to be beating them or versing them or chasing them or hunting them throughout their time on the island. At least that's what I thought it was going to be, right? It makes sense. But it couldn't be further from the truth. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's also a family that is, for some reason, this dad is taking his 2 daughters and one of the daughters' boyfriends on an across-world or an across-ocean sailing trip, even though there is active dinosaurs in the area. The one of the daughter's boyfriend is completely... He's written to be the annoying stoner character, the guy that is lazy, flippant. He's meant to have a little bit of character changes throughout the whole movie, but the whole idea is you don't like him. So there's this family with one dude that you don't like, and they're sailing through because one of the daughters is going to go to college. The other daughter is much younger. One of the daughters is going to college, so his final hurrah is to go on this big sailing trip across the ocean. And then inevitably, because it's infested waters, all the dinosaurs in the entire world that got out in Dominion are retreating to the equator, because the equator is warm and it is the only place they're not dying, because they're dying everywhere else in the world apparently, because the whole world has changed so much that they can't live there. Obviously, this family gets attacked by dinosaurs, and therein in itself is the first thing that's wrong with this movie. The dinosaur attacks throughout the entire movie, starting from here, get more and more ridiculous. See, there's this big water dinosaur that has these fins, and all it does throughout the entire movie, it attacks both boats. The boat with Scarlett Johansson and the family. It attacks this boat, and all it does, it flips the boat, and all the people get in the water, and it's like, oh my God, they're all gonna fucking die. The boyfriend's stuck in the cabin and he's banging on the walls. The dad is freaking out because he's trying to get the boyfriend, and the 2 daughters are sitting on top as the boat's physically flipping. They're sitting on it as it's flipping and they're walking around the top of it. The boyfriend gets out, swims to the top, and he's gets hit in the guts with the mask because it's swinging underwater, and it hits him and he can't get up. And you're like, oh fuck, the big dinosaur that flipped its boat, it's gonna eat everyone. No, he left. The big dinosaur that flipped the boat just get up and leaves the family to just sit on a full flipped over boat. And that's it. I don't know if this dinosaur is just the biggest asshole in the world, but the whole attack was he just rammed into the side twice, flipped the boat, did a spin around it, and then fucked off because reasons. I don't know. You think the dinosaur would sit there and just eat you? Like, it's a big water dinosaur. Flip the boat. It sees like humans get in the water. It's going to try and eat something or attack the boat or flip the boat or break it or whatever. They kind of in passing said that the dinosaur's pissed off because it could be like territorial and it's like attacking another dinosaur, which it thought the boat could have been. But it makes no sense because later their family puts a distress signal out on the radio and Scarlett Johansson's boat ends up picking them up. And then because they came through that area to pick them up, when the family gets on the boat, they all get attacked again. But it kind of works for Scarlett Johansson's thing because they're tracking it, because they need a sky dinosaur, an earth dinosaur, and a water dinosaur is what I put together. So they need to get the DNA from all of them. So it's like, oh fuck, here's the water dinosaur we've been hunting. But this water dinosaur just hits the boat and he's trying to eat Scarlett Johansson. But like, instead of doing a dinosaur thing where you've seen him come out of the water like the fucking whale 3 or 4 times, he just kind of bashes in the boat a couple times and then tries to go, like out of the water at Scarlett Johansson. Doesn't actually physically fully attack her and then fucks off into the water again after the blood gets taken. He just leaves, but then comes back later. And then they crash because more dinosaurs attack. The big guy comes back and drives them to shore because reasons. And he doesn't end up eating anyone except one of the main bad guys who was shooting an actual gun at them. But I don't even think the big guy eats them. I think a smaller dinosaur eats them. The family ends up jumping off into the water together and they split off from the main crew. So now you have 2 parties. You have the family and Scarlett Johansson's group, and they both know that they need to follow pipes, thermonuclear pipes to get to the main village, which is like the genetic place from the start of the movie. So you have the family who are slowly walking through. The annoying boyfriend is being more annoying towards the dad. The dad is like, thank you for saving my daughter, because when they got attacked, the boyfriend like dove into the water after her. It's like, thank you for saving my daughter. And he's like, yeah, bro. And then that's their whole thing. They're just slowly walking through the forest together. And then the boyfriend has like this cool scene where he's taking a piss and dinosaurs are creeping up behind him, ready to eat him. And he's just peeing. And then the dinosaur jumps out to eat him. But then a bigger dinosaur hits the dinosaur that was about to eat him and flies away. And then he turns around and keeps peeing. And then it cuts. And that was the whole scene. It was just that. Now I'm like, oh, cool. There was no payoff. There was no like, holy fuck, this place is crazy. There was no commentary. He just went back peeing. And then that meant nothing. It was just a funny bit that happened. Scarlett Johansson's group, they walk into a field with high grass. And then there's heaps of dinosaurs. And then they all like start going, yes, yes, at these really tall dinosaurs. And then they get a DNA sample from those. And then it pans out to all of the dinosaurs. The same ones, by the way, all the same type of genetic hybrid tall dinosaurs. And it just plays the Jurassic Park music and then it cuts. And nothing comes from it. Except they walk in, they literally, no one says anything like, oh, this is a very rare breed. I can't believe they're still alive. Like, they're really flourishing in this, like, a new environment. And then they cheer or cry or whatever. No, they're like, the 2 dinosaurs are like low-key fucking when they're taking the DNA from them. And then they just all stand there. One of the science guys like starts crying. And then 2 of them start cheering. And then they do a wide shot. I think what I can say most about this movie as I'm slowly walking you through it is the movie seemed to do or have a lot of ideas that were never fully fleshed out. There was a lot of dinosaur attacks that didn't go anywhere. There was a lot of scenes where you think it's more emotional than it, there's scenes where there's happiness, but they seem more emotional than they should be. Or there's scenes where they're sitting there and they're talking with each other, basically trying to, make you feel a connection to them. There was one scene that sticks in my head where one of Scarlett Johansson's friends is directly saying, I miss my wife. I can never look at her the same way since my son died. But after my son died, we ended up splitting because all we could think about was him. And it's just like, I feel like he's just saying these sentences and Scarlett Johansson's just like, yeah, my partner died too. And then I was in the war for a while. But now I'm here and we're doing this. It just seems like they were consistently just telling us why we should care about these characters because they had no screen time and the chemistry seems super forced. Anyway, the point of the matter is I feel like the directors or the writers had these ideas of certain things that would happen throughout the movie. action, love, happy times, and they all seem so intermittently packed with no full ending in sight or no full written ending, that the only way that they can end the scene that they've written is to be like, and then the next thing. Or, and then the dinosaur got bored and then they got out. Because there's been a lot of dinosaur attacks, like one with the blow up boat, for those who remember about the blow up boat. So the family blow up this blow up raft and they get in the raft, and a T-Rex literally bites this raft, stomps on this raft, picks up the raft and pretty much goes with it. And the raft is completely fine. And then the family goes through 2 rocks, and then the dino it's too big for the T-Rex's head. So he kind of just pushes his head through, it gets kind of stuck. Then he pushes it out and then he just walks away. Anyway, let's continue with the story. We have Scarlett Johansson's group who now have gotten the water and the land dinosaurs' DNA. So they start rappelling down the mountain to get the bird DNA, which they need to get from an egg. They get the DNA from an egg with a little bit of scuffle with the egg's mum. And then it's starting to get a little bit darker. The family have gone through their hijinks with the T-Rex, and they're following the pipes to get to the genetic splicing place, and the sun's going down. And then Scarlett Johansson's group says, the backup is, because our boat got crushed, is we need to be at the genetic place's helicopter pad by sunrise, and we need to be there for 2 minutes because a helicopter is going to be coming and then waiting for us for 2 minutes and then leaving. And they're like, whoa, why only 2 minutes? It's only 2 minutes because they don't want to land and get eaten by dinosaurs, which makes sense. They don't want to fuck around and land and then just die as well. I don't know if it's sunrise or sunset. I think it's sunset. Anyway, so they all get to the genetic place. They have a little bit of falling out. The millionaire guy who has his 3 samples turns out to be an evil dude, of course. So he does some evil stuff. And then they get attacked from more flying dinosaurs. There's a scene in a convenience store at the genetic place that reminds me a lot of Jurassic Park 1, where they're in the kitchen. So there's these 2 big bird guys, and there's like aisles, and the family are trying to move around so the big bird dinosaurs don't get to them. And then like they're dropping things and throwing things, trying to, get away from them. And then they end up getting down the sewer grate, and then that's it. And then Scarlett Johansson then gets down into the sewer grate as well. And then the helicopter rocks up. But then the helicopter gets bitten by a really big dinosaur. And step in the genetic master Giga dinosaur from the start of the movie. He eats the helicopter and then fades into the big fog. Because he's huge. The evil guy gets a car. He starts racing down to the shore because there is an emergency boat for evacuations, and everyone's headed towards it as the final way to get off the island with the $1 trillion triple DNA bag of justice that is apparently a cure for everything. You have the family and Scarlett Johansson, they meet up in the pipes and they get to this big doorway. You have the billionaire guy coming down the road, and they're all getting to this doorway. And this doorway has big grates in it. So the youngest daughter gets out, slowly opens up the door. Then you have the truck that comes by. Then big daddy genetic dinosaur that looks like a xenomorph out of Alien steps on it and then eats the billionaire guy. And he drops the triple DNA thing. But then the big dinosaur dips away for a second. So now they need to get away from the final couple of bird dinos. They get onto the boat. They turn on the boat thing as it lowers into the water, and then a light starts shining. And apparently, the big dino is attracted to light. So the big dino comes over. They light a couple of flares to lure it away. And one of the last guys, Scarlett Johansson's friend, whose son died and he split up with his wife, he's got a flare here. And the big dino is slowly going in, and you see the flare red go on the dino's face, and he's reaching in to bite him, and it cuts just as the dino goes. It cuts. Go back to Scarlett Johansson, who's like, "Oh no, my friend's dead. Everyone get on the boat. Let's leave." So they get on the boat and they leave. But then they see another flare fly out. The friend's alive somehow. So they turn on a spotlight 30 seconds after he almost died to a dinosaur that's sensitive to light. They turn on a spotlight, fling it around to look for him. They see him and he's fine with no big dino in sight. Then they get away. They say they're going to use the medication for everyone instead of selling it for millions of dollars. And then credits. The big dinosaur, which was hyped up in the prologue of the movie right at the start before they started everything, had about 1 minute of screen time right at the end. And all he did was eat the main bad guy, chase one of the friends into a corner, and then dip. I mean, he had a helicopter as well, and that's it. Dude, the whole movie felt like shit. I really wanted to go on a rant because I really like dinosaur movies, okay? I'm a 29-year-old man now that loves dinosaur movies, and this movie was probably the worst one out of the entire franchise. I missed Chris Pratt that much in this movie. I missed all the other dinosaur movies. This is probably like the worst dinosaur or Jurassic Park movie that I've seen. It's probably a 2.5 out of 10 in general. The only one that is probably better than it slightly or like sharing it would be Dominion. And that's because Dominion was actually, it's just the worst writing. You just had the old cast and the new cast come together to do the same thing and then release dinosaurs everywhere. That was Dominion. It wasn't a great movie at all. But this one reminded me a lot of, because it's its own standalone movie with its own cast and it's got nothing to do with the Jurassic World really. It kind of reminds me of the original trilogy. It reminds me of Jurassic Park 2. However, don't go into this movie looking for Jeff Goldblum's sweet cheeks as he goes through and has a little bit of a thriller time with a family. Don't think about it that way. This movie is definitely a no-see. If you really want to have a little bit of fun with family and friends and you want to point fun at a bad movie, then go see it. But just get a whole lot of Skittles, a whole lot of popcorn, and sit there with your girlfriend and her family and just chill for an afternoon. It's an okay movie, but it is shit if you like Jurassic Park movies. Thanks for watching. This was just a rant. Don't watch this movie. Okay, much love. Bye bye. See you next time. Peace, guys. Bye.